for our Biz Blitz, and we're doing it a little earlier than usual here on Cavuto. And first up, hearing the second Texas hospital worker with Ebola, confirmed as Amber Vinson, took a flight before testing positive for the illness. So she was on a flight, and that adds to the fears about flyers from the airlines that this virus is not just staying in Texas. And well, we're back with our Fox Biz All-Stars. Tracy, justified. Would you be afraid of flying in an environment like this? Or?
So I'm not afraid to fly. I'm about to fly next week. Okay. But this, I think, goes to the fact that there's no protocol. No one knows what to do. So instead, we kind of incite panic. Let's take anyone that's come in contact with her has to call the CDC. It's making the whole thing worse, I think, because there's no rules and regulations on how to handle this.
Right. And, you know, they said today that she shouldn't have gotten on the flight. I mean, she knew she was one of the people who had been in contact. And, you know, Sabrina, she still got on the flight. So that it does endanger some of these people. We don't know to what extent yet, but does it make you nervous?
It makes me a little bit nervous. To Tracy's point, I don't feel like there's any real leadership right now in Washington who's really overseeing things and saying this is what we have to do to make sure that the American people are safe. The reality is we live in a very small world these days. I just flew back from North Carolina on Monday. I'm flying to California on Friday. We can't stop this kind of environment that we live in, but we need to have some leadership that is directing what we need to do to make sure that we prevent the spread of this.
Liz?
The issue is, too, I mean, people who may have Ebola, they can take a Tylenol to mask their fever. We have all these new gadgets to scan if they have fever. Well, if they take a Tylenol, it could bring it down. So Ebola can live outside the body for up to 3 hours. It can live on doorknobs or any other thing. And the other thing, too, is, you know, here's the debate. The World Health Organization stopped travel into Toronto, into Canada, and when that SARS outbreak occurred in 2003. So it's still unclear why we don't have really a flight restrictions from some of these affected nations. From
those affected nations, and in this case from somebody who knew that they were exposed to the patient or was probably on that list of people who were exposed to the patient, and they're just asking these people to take it upon themselves, Tracy, which I'm not sure is the best idea. Maybe you should say, hey, you're not allowed to fly.
I think that you cannot, I mean, God bless humanity, you cannot allow them to be honest in a situation like this because everyone is nervous. You're nervous. You just want to get home. You want to get to the proper
whether
places.
It's this woman or somebody coming in from West Africa wants better treatment, you're relying on their word.
Sabrina's right. We need better rules and regulations with this. Lizzie, and we've been talking about this on the show. Block the borders.
Go ahead, Sabrina. I'm sorry.
Well, and this is why our larger culture of alarmism, which sort of makes us scared of everything, you know, from sugar to fat to chemicals, is so bad because when there's a real threat, people don't know if this is hysterics or if this is really something to panic about. And I don't think we want to get hysterical, but we do need some order, and we do want people to take it very, very seriously.
Yeah, I think if there were clear rules and somebody was clearly in charge and they laid it down and say, hey, this is what you're allowed to do, this is if you're exposed, this is what you do, then people probably would be, you know, less afraid than they are.
If you don't want it to spread, there has to be more restrictions in place, right, Connell?
Our second issue, I think you're right. The second issue on the docket tonight in the Biz Blitz, Halloween costumes. Yeah, Halloween costumes. And ones that are actually making some people sick. There is apparently a lot of outrage on the internet as many people are planning to dress up in Ebola hazmat suit costumes. I just found out about this today. I don't know, Sabrina, if this is in your plans or not, but what do you think? The outrage, people are being too sensitive, or what do you make of this? The fact that this is apparently the thing for this Halloween.
Well, look, I always think that Halloween is a little bit of the shock factor is always part of it, right? We have sexy everything, sexy Snow Whites. I mean, I find it a little bit disturbing when you see little kids walking around that. But there's always something, right? I mean, we forget. We're going to see lots of pirates out there this year. Pirates are once in the past and even today are a scary idea. People are going to have fun with this, but I'm not too, concerned about it.
I'm not going to go crazy about it either. It'd be hypocritical to do that. I'm on a show in the morning when we're singing an Ebola song. So, I mean, you can joke about almost anything. It doesn't mean you don't take the issue seriously. But still, this is, I don't know, Trace. It's kind of weird in their neighborhood, somebody coming up in a hazmat suit to trick-or-treat at your house.
I was Milli Vanilli one year for Halloween, so I'm not one to talk about that Halloween costume.
It's like this is the wrong panel. Do you see this? It's like we all have our own skeletons in the closet. We have no credibility on this issue.
But your point is well taken. What if somebody comes to your front door?
They come trick-or-treat, there's Tracy. And
are you going to give them candy?
Just slamming the door shut.
I don't like it. I think it's insensitive.
You would do the same if I was Milli Vanilli, though.
No, wait, hang on.
Absolutely right.
It's insensitive, and for the child, it's weird, and it gives them a bad standard. It's very dark, and it's not a good idea to put in that child's head.
Unless, of course, it glows, and then it's safe when you're trick-or-treating at night.
I mean, it's not the only
It's like
costume.
one of those little neon sticks.
Right.
I mean, we could sit here and do segments, though, all night on, look at this kid with a cigarette. You see this dressed as a cigarette?
Awful,
see this one?
Awful.
We could do segments on. We could all be outraged.
I'd rather put on that Joan Rivers costume. There's a Joan Rivers costume out there that's
right. I mean, well, you could be
on.
you could be Joan Rivers for
I
Halloween.
like
You'd be
that.
honoring her.
For once.
That wouldn't be inappropriate. You'd be honoring Joan Rivers, right? So.
You think?
I kind of like the outfit.
I mean, like if you're paying tribute, I don't know what I think. I don't know. I really have an opinion on it. I just formed it. I literally just formed that opinion right now. It's not something you think. I didn't give a lot of thought to it, Trace, but that's what I've come up with. All right, Mitt, is Mitt in or out? You hear about this all the time.